So, the Dogpoint podcast, episode 6. Today we have a special guest here. We have Shaun Alexander, co-founder and chief culinary officer. It's a mouthful. Of Foodie Nation. Welcome. And today we're not talking about food though, at least not human food. We're here because you are a German Shepherd enthusiast. And so how it arrived there, we will get to in a little bit. So just tell us, how did you get started owning German Shepherd and discovering your love for the breed and all of that?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for having me. How did I get started? Well, I think my wife and I were looking for some personal protection dogs because we grew up with the typical compound dogs or dogs in your yard,
Okay.
pet dogs, that kind of thing. But with the current situation in Trinidad, we wanted a change. We didn't just want pet dogs or pets in the yard running around in the yard at night. We wanted dogs to live inside the house with us. And also we wanted a certain level of dog. Yeah. So we would have reached out to family and friends. And coincidentally, Philip Lupo, who I think you remember, he was the one who recommended Dareem or
Okay.
Vom Waddlestrass, that kennel. And when I reached out to him, he informed me that he had German Shepherds because we weren't looking for any particular breed.
Okay.
We were looking
Interesting.
for protection dogs that could live in the house with us, move around with us, stay in the car, that kind of thing. We did not go the route of we want a German Shepherd or we want a Rottweiler or a Pit Bull or whatever. We wanted personal protection dogs.
Okay.
We did not want to spend the amount of money to import. So we said, let's look for some locally bred personal protection dogs. And the Reem name came up a couple of times from Model Struss.
All right.
And because of the quality of dogs he had, and they just happened to be German Shepherds. So that is how we ended up with German Shepherds. And from there, I mean, we fell in love with them. You know what I mean? No, more of a natural, kind of evolution into the breed. And so while we got them, or the process of getting them, we continue to educate ourselves on the breed, on what it's like having a personal protection dog, and from there the love just continues to grow to today.
Yeah, I remember that day meeting you by Dareem. And just before you came, Dareem said, Mark, I want you to demo this dog for me, which was the mother, right? I want you to demo this dog. I said, okay, no problem. I have somebody coming who's interested in one of the puppies. I said, yeah, cool. So we did a little demo with, I think, the father and the mother.
No.
Or just the mother.
Yeah, just the mother,
Just the
because
mother.
because Attila was no longer in the country.
Right.
The father, yeah, he was sold to someone in the
And
States, I believe.
the mother has a tendency to be a little bit on the extreme side. So when it comes to doing any demo in obedience or protection, they said, Mark, you can demo the dog for me, right? I said, no problem. And so we did that. And then, next thing, I get a call from you about, I'm getting this puppy and, what do you think I need and all those things. So we then discussed what equipment you're likely to need, balls, crates, leashes, all of that. And then COVID hit.
Yep.
Everything on lockdown. And then I get another call from you. It's like, what can I do? I don't want to not do something. And then I suggested, because we did it within the training club, to do virtual sessions. And at first, the expression was like, "What? What is this?" you know. And yeah, and then we started you with virtual training sessions, and then you just took off from there, really. With practicing, and then a week later in the next session, you showed me what your dog is doing by now, and the puppy made big strides.
Yeah.
Because his dogs are super confident, they're highly intelligent, and unafraid. They just anything new, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And I don't think that has changed
No.
since then.
No. Yeah. For us, the entire process was new. From interacting with Dareem, the process with him was refreshing because traditionally here with these dog breeders here, they don't wait to come home by them. They're very secretive. They don't wait to see the dogs. It's very hush hush, and it's weird. But with Dareem, it was the opposite. He was like, "Sure, you wanna come home by me? Sure, you wanna see the dogs train? Sure." He never said no. He never said no. So when we came, of course, we met you. We were able to meet you, which was also a bonus because he was like, "Well, Shaun, if it is you want to have personal protection trained dogs, these are my trainers. Mark, he has been training my dogs for how much ever years since, well, I believe with Dareem father.
Right.
And, so he is somebody that I would strongly recommend. So naturally, I would have reached out to you, as you said, and you guided me what type of crate to get for the dog, what type of collar, what type of leash, because to us, we were thinking, well, we could just go in the pet store and just buy a regular leash, buy a regular collar. You were like, nah, Shaun, these dogs different.
Yes.
You're gonna need
Yes.
certain types of equipment.
Slightly different drive level,
Yeah, you're gonna need certain types of equipment for your dogs. Your dogs are not regular dogs. You cannot buy wire crate for your dog. No, he is going to come out of that. He's going to mash it up. So the guidance was very the guidance was very, very welcoming. It really helped us along the way because again we were without like persons like you and Dareem and them, we would have been doing this blind. You know what I mean? And getting the kind of dogs we got.
The kind of dog, I was not going to say, the kind of dog that you got, you don't want to do this blindly.
Oh my God.
Because you can end up in a lot of trouble.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yes.
with that drive level and that confidence level, and it's not just that the prey drive is high, the nerve strength is high,
Yeah.
the fight drive is high. There's a number of drives that are on the high side, and which makes for an excellent dog, but you have to rein that in too and control it.
For sure. And with COVID, just as you said, COVID hit, which to me kind of worked out to the dog's benefit because we had more time with him. Mm-hmm. But then when we had to do the virtual sessions, so to us, we were like, well, how this going to work? How you going to...
Are you training a dog virtually?
Train a dog virtually? You know what I mean? But we welcomed it. So as I keep saying, the entire process was new. So we were like, listen, we have to trust this man. Clearly, if Dareem, a very well-established breeder, is using him for all these years, he have to be doing something right. Let's trust him and let's just, go along with the process. And we did it. We did a couple virtual sessions well.
Yeah. And now, as the world has moved on a little bit, and I now specialize in virtual sessions, there is an aspect of those virtual sessions that I always tell people that works out to their benefit. And that is, having trained dogs for almost 4 decades, there are certain things that I do automatically that I may not notice. Body position, body posture, tone of voice. There is certain things that exert a level of influence over the dog. And so if I'm doing an in-person training session and I take the leash and I teach the dog something and then I teach you how to do it, that influence is still there because I'm standing 10, 20 feet away. But when I leave and that influence is gone, your dog does not behave the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And so then a lot of dog owners kind of struggle. It's like, yeah, he's not doing the same thing for me as he is doing for you. And in the virtual sessions, that is not a problem. because I was never there to begin with. I was there via a phone, tablet, laptop, right? So you as the owner get to handle the dog directly and do all those things, and then put those body positions, posturings, and tones of voices into your routine because you're now instructed to do it. And that makes it easier and somewhat faster for dog owners to get results with their dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Makes sense. I never even thought about that,
Yeah.
But that makes so much sense.
Yes.
No, that
I have some people that they also is like, how is this gonna work? And a few sessions in say, hey, this is great. Because they're now so encouraged, because when they look at their dog behave differently now, they say, I did that. I handled the dog. I taught him this.
Yeah.
You know? Under instruction, yes, but they did it. And so they feel more encouraged to practice more because it's now fun. It helps the relationship between them and the dog because they work more. So therefore, the working relationship with the dog is deeper than just, okay, I have to do this 5 minutes twice a day. You know, they might do longer or more often just because they feel like doing it. And so the dog sees that too. And then that is a more relaxed relationship. There the dog say, hey, great, we're doing stuff again. Nice. And then everything moves up. You know, the skill level of the owner moves up, the level of training in the dog moves up, and everybody's happy.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that I
And the
really
beauty
liked
is-
about it too was the fact that you were able to use your dogs and kind of show us how it should look.
So you get a visual, right?
Yeah.
And that is the point. Somebody would say, yeah, but your dog is not a puppy. Your dog is already trained. And sure, but that doesn't take away from the picture.
Yeah.
You know, he might do it faster than your dog because he's done it a million times. But that does not mean it's different. Speed comes with repetition.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and switching from food to toy and all those things, that is where the speed comes in. So, but that doesn't mean that it looks different in the way he goes down or the way he sits or the way he comes to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Plus
So
how
that remains.
plus when you do it with your dog, you were able to show us how our body posture should be.
Yes.
You know, not just the dog, because I mean, obviously, you know, most people tend to focus on the dogs, but a lot of it has to do with the handler.
Yes.
Right?
A lot. Most of it.
Yeah. So you were able to show us how to stand, how to position the toy, how to adjust the toy according to the dog.
How to manipulate the drives, right? So for instance, if you want to do a recall out of a down, but just by standing up straight and looking at the dog calmly and not saying anything, the drive level in the dog goes up. So when you do release him to come to you, it comes faster and pays more attention to you sitting looking up at you when he arrives. So it's those little manipulations that come into play as well. And if you see somebody do it, then you're more willing or more inclined to replicate it. It's different from seeing somebody in person, because when it's an in-person session, people look at their dog.
Yeah.
When they look at the video of me demonstrating with my dog what I need you or them to do, then they look at the whole thing, which is another positive aspect of doing virtual sessions. And of course, the beauty is you don't depend on rain, flood, sun, day, night. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the world, you know.
Yeah, you save time. You actually save time.
Yeah, you can train a dog in a different country the same way you train a dog in country.
Yeah.
You know, so it's I love it. I love it. And that's why I made a conscious decision since then to really dive into that and specialize in it.
Yeah.
You know, and point out all those things to the client right in the beginning. All the nuances that they're going to pick up by looking at the whole picture, not just their dog. You know, so, and it's working. As everybody who tries it is like, hey, I didn't think that it would work so well.
Yeah. One of the things that I love too was that so we would do weekly virtual sessions. That's what we were doing. We were doing weekly virtual sessions. But then you would also allow us to like send you videos throughout the
Yep.
week. I'm not sure if you're still
Yeah,
allow
I'm doing that
customers to do
still
that.
with virtual clients.
Okay.
If you have any
Okay.
question, if you're not sure about something, or you think you're doing it right, but you're not sure, send me a video. I will tell you, yeah, keep going,
Yeah.
or no, change this or change that.
Yeah, because
You
that
know?
for me saved time because I didn't have to wait a whole week to interact with you or to find out, okay,
Correct.
am I doing this correct? Am I doing this wrong? Literally the next day, I'll do it in the evening, send it to you, and maybe, within a few hours, you'll just respond.
And I always encourage people to send videos rather than explaining to me in a voice note of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the video, I can look at what I need to see
Mm-hmm.
to help this client, right?
Yeah.
Whereas in the explanation, I'm depending on what you're telling me. There is a big difference there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, remember I'm not sure if you remember this, but remember one time I did a recall with Sambo and he literally passed a bunch of screaming kids and came running straight to me.
Yeah.
You remember that
Yes.
video? Yeah. So you were like, Shaun, you didn't even realize how focused your dog is on you. He passed all those screaming kids and I didn't even realize that, like that was like something that was a positive.
That would distract many dogs. Many dogs, if not most.
Right.
Because screaming kids are just like a whole herd of, prey animals running around. So a dog might not go after it, but certainly distracted and look away and say, what's going on there? And your dog was just staring at you and passing them like a bus, coming straight to you when called, which is
Yeah.
what you want, right? You want your dog focused like that. And your dog is tremendously good at focusing. And so
Yeah.
this is one of the things I love about him.
Yeah.
And
Good
his willing-
good
and his-
training.
And his willingness to work, right? He lives to
yeah.
work. The moment you pick up a toy or a training tool or something, he's like, we training. He gets all
yeah.
excited about it. I don't know if he still does,
Oh yeah.
but
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
I would
yeah.
suspect though. I know,
Oh yeah.
and that is when you know you're doing something right.
Yeah.
If your dog wants to work with you, if your dog wants to do this, then the picture comes together.
Yeah, I think guidance is important because you could go on YouTube and you could see a video on how to train your dog to sit or whatever. You
Yeah.
could buy a book, but you're not getting that kind of access to knowledge that you get with when you're interacting with the actual dog trainer. And I think that to me was a big plus. The fact that I could probably message you. We talk all the time, but
Yeah.
but like when they were puppies. I would message you and send you videos almost every day, every other day, and it's
Yeah.
an instant response. Okay, Shaun, you're doing this. Just that general guidance. And not only with the obedience training, the crate training, the general sociability. Remember, like how I will go parks and I'll tell you, well, okay, the dog reacting to this, so what to do, and is that's something that I think a lot of people don't realize they get in when they sign up with a trainer.
Yep. And how to step it up from the quietness of a yard
Mm-hmm.
to a low frequented park to then some medium activity to full blown let's go in the savannah,
Yeah.
right? To ease the dog into that is important. So that the dog is like, yeah, I've seen this before. Yeah, I've seen that before. And then by the time you're in the savannah, it's like, yeah, come with something new.
Yeah.
Just routine, and the dog is stoic and just focusing on you no matter what's going on around him. There's dogs passing, people passing, kids screaming, car slamming brakes. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
He's just with you and, interacting with you and working with you. And that is what he wants.
Yeah. And first, that's important because we go all over the place with them.
Yeah.
They're in the car with us. If we go in the grocery, if we go in any errands, work sometimes even. So so for us, that was a big aspect of the training too. We wanted our dogs to be civil. We wanted them to be fairly social and calm and stoic, as you said.
Yeah, and it's only exposure that will do that.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because if you have a dog that is protection trained, that is as confident as your dog and high drive as your dog, when you present him with something that he doesn't know, his first reaction is gonna go, you make that move again, I'm gonna do something about it. Yeah? Versus you teach him, no, stand down.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay, it's cool. And then he sees that picture a few times, and then it's like, yeah, it's something to watch, but not
Yeah.
act on.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. And also like
Unless told.
we did not expect the dogs to be how to say this, boy, because we were just so accustomed of pet dogs, like your average dog.
Yeah.
So having these dogs and like what, let's say like 12 months into Sambo, when we started to like go into the public with him and really see, wait a minute, we really have a protection dog with us, you know what I mean?
When he takes about
A
himself
very
to want to
well
protect
trained
you,
dog.
right?
Yeah,
Before he has all the guidance and the protection work to teach him when it's okay to act, when it's not okay to act. Right?
Oh,
So that
yes.
little phase between year to year and a half, where he's now learning those things, and versus the things that he wants to do. It's like, hey, no, stay here. You
Yeah.
can't go.
Yeah, because
know?
we will see dogs in the public, pulling their owners, barking at the wind, barking at balls, and Sambo and Coco, they just there chill. But also, people will come up to us all the time and be like, how your dog so calm? Or how your dog so...
And of course, your dog is like,
And they don't realize, it's
you don't want to
training.
come closer.
Exactly, but it's training.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? What else really brought them to this level is training.
it's training.
Training.
And working dogs are different from other pet dogs. Sambo is not your average Yorkie.
Correct. Correct.
He's more a bit of a, how heavy is he now? 90 pounds, 80, 90 pounds?
Yeah, probably around that.
He's a
Yeah.
90-pound missile, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When told. So, yeah, it's and people need to understand this. If you get a high drive working dog, it's a different level of commitment that you have to bring to that dog than if you get a couch potato. A working dog acts vastly different from a basset hound. The only time that that basset hound is alive is when he goes to the food bowl. The rest of the time he's passed out on the couch watching TV. So, your dog is the polar opposite of that. Your dog is like looking at you, and every time you get up from a seat, he's like, we're working, we're going somewhere, we're doing something, right? And so I had that with Ninja. I couldn't turn around on the bed without him flying up and saying, we're going somewhere. He just jumped up from his pillow. It's like, we're going. Because it was not unusual when we did some working point leases. He was a detection dog. To get up at 4 a.m. and go there.
Mm-hmm.
So me just getting up to go to the washroom at night to him was halfway a signal of oh, we going? We working? And no, go back to sleep. And he could see the disappointment in his face. It's like, what do you mean you want me to sleep? I'm all geared up and ready to work. No, we're not going anywhere. Go and sleep.
Oh yeah.
He would mosey off, lie down, and then let out a one big long sigh to show me his dissatisfaction with that, and then he would go back to sleep.
Yeah, because over the weekend somebody asked me on Instagram like, what's the cost to train the dogs? Because we post them regularly now. So they were like, is it expensive? So I told her something is only expensive when you do not understand its true value. Because I can't, a question like that is not a simple yes or no answer. For me and Chrissy, knowing what we know now, although at the beginning we had no issue with paying for training because we understood anything you want in life, you have to put in some work, have to spend a little time and a little money.
Right.
And seeing our dogs now operate anywhere.
Right.
I have zero complaints. So that's basically what I told her. I was like, listen, you see how my dogs are, because I post my dogs regularly. Do you think that I think it's expensive? And she was like, nah.
Yeah.
I was like, you see? So it's not.
And people have the wrong idea. It is also a cultural thing in Trinidad, right? A dog is something you just put in the yard, you feed it, it grows up, and then it kind of protects you. Runs around, plays barking. That is not what you have. But that is what people think it is. Right? And you just have an exceptionally calm dog. When people see you with your dog, that is the first thing that goes through their mind. If you tell that person that if you purchase a trained personal protection dog in the US, it's somewhere in the vicinity of $45,000. They go to, for dog? Yes. And people buy those ready trained.
Yeah.
So yes, to get a dog to that level is not cheap. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of expertise and knowledge that has to get into that has to go into the dog. But when you have the end product, and it's never really, I don't like the term end product because it's never finished. There's always better. The advanced product that is your dog, it is very, very rewarding. When I can take my dog anywhere, I can put him on a down walk out of sight for half an hour and come back and he's still in the same place.
Yeah.
I took Ninja with me to the veterinary school to do a lecture on safe handling. And it was 2 times an hour and a half with an intermission with him doing a demo. And the 2 halves of an hour and a half, I put him in a down under the whiteboard while my back is turned to him with me lecturing. And after the first hour, I noticed that nobody was looking at me. They were listening, but they were not watching. Right? They were looking at the dog and they were just like, why is this dog not moving? Why is he not getting up? It's been over an hour and he's not getting up. He's not walking around. And then after the demo, I put him back down again. And then the same thing. And they're like, he's doing this again. How is he not? And then somebody raised the arm and actually asked the question that everybody wanted to know. So why is he not moving? Because the last thing he heard was down. And he knows he has to stay in that position until he hears me say something else. And of course, Ninja being Ninja, he then yawned audibly to let me know he's getting bored. Right? And I said, oh, you need something to focus on, no problem. And I pulled his ball out of my pocket. And I just rested on the corner of the lectern. And for the last 20 minutes of that lecture, my boy was lying in that same position, staring at the ball. He was not looking at them. He was not looking at me. He was looking at that ball. And he was staring down that ball. And when everything was finished and the questions were answered, and I just flicked the ball off the lectern. And he caught it in the air and went back in his down position with the ball in his mouth. Happy. Happy like puppy. Because he got his reward for what he was doing.
Yeah.
You can't do this with an average dog. Unless you put in the same amount of work. It's not specific to the breed. If you have a high drive pot hound, you can do the same thing. You can achieve the same thing, but you have to put in the work to get there. Dogs don't train themselves, contrary to popular belief. Right? And that is why worldwide we have so much problems. So we have a need for security. So people get large dogs, they get mastiffs. As trainers, we say, okay, experienced people should have mastiffs. Same with Rottweilers, right? Especially the higher drive ones, because they tend to be a little more dominant, mastiffs in particular. And people who have never had a dog before say, okay, we have a young family and we want to get protected. Unlike you, there's zero research going on, right? And the first mastiff that gets, offered up on Facebook is the one they're getting. And then when the dog is a year and a half, I get a phone call. So he's a good dog, but we have a little problem with him. I said, what is it? Well, he's getting a little aggressive. I said, well, aggressive with who? Well, mostly strangers, but sometimes also us. I said, okay, so now you want me, the stranger, to come in and fix it. Right? And I do. I go and I do. interact with the dog. I said, can only go two ways. It's either you listen or you bite me. There's nothing in between. So go in brave and win the dog over and work with him and teach him, no, you can't be doing this, and no, you can't be doing that, and this is what I want you to do. And make an attempt to turn him around. But if you get a dog that is naturally somewhat unstable due to poor genetics, then that can be a tough call. Because he will appear fine until he trips. And that has happened a few times, right? There is one bloodline of Mastiffs here in this country that hopeless when it comes to dog aggression. They lose their mind if they see a dog. There's one bloodline. This is one particular breeder they all come from. And, I came in contact with 3 of them. 2 are no longer around and 1 got rehomed. Where he's a single dog. That was the result. And it was not my recommendation. That was just dog owner said, I can't have this dog around my children, and it would be irresponsible of me to give it to somebody else with that same problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think price should never really be the determining factor or the only or main determining factor when selecting a dog, because when we were looking, we were recommended to reach out to for Model Trust because of his good reputation. But as you said, online, I mean, you could find anything you want for what, $2,000, TT dollars, $2,500 TT dollars. And the funny thing with Dareem is so I have 2 dogs from Dareem, and to this day he has never told me the price of the dogs. So when so with Sambo, when their mother made them, he was like, Shaun, after 2 weeks, once you're interested, you have to make a down payment. Sure, no problem, made the down payment. And he was like, when you collect him, you could just pay the balance. So if you go to collect the dog, I'm like, well, how much is the balance? Yeah, no. Also, I didn't tell any price. I was like, no. But I say that story to say that it was never a factor for us.
right.
I mean, of course, we don't want to spend $1 million on a dog, right?
Right.
But
you
at the
wanted a
same
good dog.
Exactly, we wanted a good dog. And the same thing happened with Coco. What we did, we assumed the price was the same as Sambo. So the price was a little more, right? but it was no problem for us,
Right.
because he never told us the price and we never asked,
Right.
But just to stress that you cannot buy these type of animals based on price, because
No, because there's also differences in breeding and genetics. So if you have a dog that you got for X price, to create the other litter where you get your second dog from may have required importing a dog or 2 dogs even, right? Where the initial outlay is a lot higher, and maybe those dogs have proven themselves by being titled. And so the puppy can't be the same price, So there is variations even within a breeder in terms of the pricing of the puppies. It's not a standard rate.
Yeah.
So no matter what I breed, this is my price. It can't work like that, And the thing is, people oftentimes think, so much for a dog, and believe that the breeder is making no end of money selling puppies. A good breeder doesn't. A good breeder imports dogs all the time. And our country is oftentimes, recognized worldwide as the rest of the world. Right? We're not part of the EU. We're not part of the American bloc, right? So in Germany, for instance, if you send something to Trinidad, DHL would tell you that the price category to send something to Trinidad is rest of the world. It's cheaper to send something to China than it is to send something to Trinidad, right? So by the flights that dog has to take to get here, it's not cheap. It's a very expensive endeavor. And, you have to have endless litters if you dream of making that back. And a good breeder does not breed that often
Yeah, true.
with a female, right?
True. Yeah, because we waited We probably waited about 9 months from, let's say, first contact with Dareem to when we got Sambo. Probably more than 9 months, if I'm being honest. But it was less than a year. So let's say, like, 9, 11 months we would have waited, because Dareem, and then the other thing with Dareem was that he would have had probably 1 or 2 litters before, and he was like, Shaun, this litter is not for you, because he knew what we wanted. So he was like, Shaun, no, let's wait. And we
Right.
waited. How much breeders doing that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, most quote unquote, I say it in air quotes, breeders. Once a litter is there. I have a client right now who's receiving a dog this week, a puppy that is 4 weeks old, because the breeder told him, well, the mother stopped nursing, so they're on solid food, and I have to travel. And I told him, I said, this is criminal. This should never be. You know, a good ethical breeder would never do something like that. You know, they keep puppies until at least 8 weeks. And even if they don't get milk from mom anymore and they're on solid food, they keep them together growing up and develop social skills and all of that before they leave. You know, it's when I heard that, I was shocked. I'm like, say that again? I actually asked him to repeat it. You know, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I have no words for people like that. I have absolutely no words.
How do you think the community has evolved? Because you're doing this for how much years now?
But working with dogs?
Yeah.
We're close to 40.
But in Trinidad?
In Trinidad, I'm here in Trinidad 25 years.
But how you think it's getting better?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. When I first got here in 98, it was all, a dog is something that you just raise in the yard and toss some food and hope for the best. What was different, though, was that pet store owners would go to trade shows. So the equipment that you could buy locally was of a much higher quality than it is now.
Really?
Yeah. You got good quality leashes and you got the Hermsprenger stuff in collars and you could get stainless steel collars and you could get all kinds of things. And then somebody came up with the glorious idea, we bring in a container of dog stuff from China and open a marketing and distribution company. And then the pet store owner said, great, I no longer have to book a flight to Vegas. I can get everything
cheaper.
right here. And with that, it went rapidly down the hill. To the point where some pet stores known to have good stuff, when they started doing that, they went under. You remember a pet store called, that was on Maraval? Where Bottle Stop used to be? It had a pet store. Opposite where Massey now has a little place by yeah.
No, they weren't.
So they had a pet store there. It was one of the most known pet stores in Port of Spain. And they went under. They had another branch in St. Augustine that went down the hill too. Same Spain. It was in St. Augustine. It was a perfect location. That's where I was shopping, right?
Yeah.
Because it was close to home. And they just started having nonsense in their store, and then people started staying away. There was the hardcore ones that would still buy food, and you and I both know what that does. And, it's just cheap Chinese stuff.
Yeah, because I remember when we started.
That's why I told you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Here's a list of what you need.
Yeah. When you send me the links, I was like, what is this place? Elite Canine, Hallmark. I was like, oh God, I was thinking he going to send me some Amazon links or something. And I had to order. But I mean, it's worth it because like to this day,
you still
his
use
collar, he's the same color.
Yeah.
The same color.
Same color,
the
same
leashes,
leash,
more or less the same equipment. It's a little more money, yes, sure. But it's better. It works a lot better.
Yeah. And so as a result, one of the things that I did, because I saw the trend, and the trend is still there today. So you get a lot of cheap stuff. You get 1,000,001 harnesses that do nothing for training, right? And pet stores recommend them to people. Yeah, the harness. My dog choking himself when walking. Well, train it not to. That would be the easiest solution, right? And it's fairly easy to do, and I have free videos on my social media showing how to do this. But no, we purchase a harness so that the dog can pull harder, right? That's the result. So I said, no, there has to be a way where I can direct people to, you know, do better. And so we did a lot of work behind the scenes, and we got our Amazon storefront. And I can populate it with what I want to populate it with. So I went through hundreds of pages on Amazon going for dog equipment and picked what I considered the best available on Amazon and put it on my storefront. That is to cut down the search time for people.
Yeah. Well, remember
You
you
know?
helped me recently with the prong.
Yeah.
Because the brass one I had was only bending.
Yeah.
And you were like, well, just buy the stainless steel one. You'll
the
send
black,
me the
black
link. And
stainless steel, yeah.
it was straight from your store.
Yeah. And you have a black dog, so
Yeah.
it's invisible on the dog, right? And yeah, and that is what I did. So we have anything from grooming tools to books
Yeah.
on nutrition, on collars, leashes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
You
name
helped
it.
me out with grooming too. Because remember what we were doing? We were having a plate of curry up on the training field at night. And we were talking with some other club members. We were talking about keeping the dogs in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the club members was saying how his mother-in-law can't take the smell.
Mm-hmm.
And you opened your mouth and you was like, try the defuminator.
Yeah.
And the both of us was like, what the hell is a defuminator?
Yeah.
Because we buying, the most expensive shampoo. We using the regular grooming brushes. But you were like, no, get this defuminator
Yeah, because it takes the dead skin cells out of the undercoat. It takes out the loose undercoat, the dead hair, and the dead skin cells. And what happens is that is what smells. So if you take that out of the dog frequently, your dog doesn't smell.
Yeah, big difference.
You don't you get the dog
Huge difference.
The only downside to that tool is it's not really for the longer haired ones. You know, some shepherds have a longer coat, and you can't really use it on that because it has a blade and it does cut the coat. So the coat gets shorter. If you have a dog that you want to show, you can't use
Right.
it. It's not suitable for huskies and so forth. But anything shorter, like my Rotties, or even my shepherd, they love it. They love it. When I have it in a bucket outside, when I reach in the bucket and pull it out, they jump up on the little retaining wall and sit down there waiting for me to start. Even Force,
Yeah.
he loves it.
Yeah.
He gets excited when I pull it out and puts himself
Yeah.
there sitting like a statue.
Yeah. You know, that's something else a lot of people ask me too. So my wife grooms them and I bathe them.
Mhm.
And from time to time, I'll also put that on my social. And people will be like, how your dog lying down so good when you're bathing the dog? Or they will ask you, how the dog sitting or standing or lying down when you're grooming the dog? And we're like, train him.
Training, yeah, you're teaching him. Listen, there was a time where to bathe Force was an MMA match. He wasn't being aggressive about it, but he's like, no, I'm not having this. And he kept moving, you know. And now he will sit there and you have to actually lift this backside up because he doesn't want to come out of the sit. He's just like a statue. It's like, yeah, but I need to do in the back there too. And you have to lift him up, tell him stand, and then he stands there, and then you get to do the rest. But he loves it, you know.
Yeah, but I think for us, the training, because of course we have them for protection ideally, right? But just the general stuff, being able to bathe them, being able to groom them, having them in the house. If like, let's say a stranger to them comes to visit us, we could keep them quiet, keep them in their crates, etc. Just it's some people forget that we even have dogs, Mark, when they come by us, because the dogs are quiet. They forget we have dogs. And then worse yet, they're black, so they don't see
You
them in
don't
the
see them.
crate. They look invisible. You only see tongue.
People get startled when they
Yeah.
suddenly see it.
Yeah. But again, like the training, these little steps that we took, it pays dividends. It pays dividends.
And
in the
you
end.
think about crate training, right? So I hear people, when I talk about crate training on my socials, some people comment, right? Oh, locking up a dog in a crate is cruel. You have children? Yes. Your child was in a crib? Yeah. It was in a playpen? Yeah. Stop talking about crates. It's okay for your child, but it's cruel for the dog?
Yeah.
You are the priorities wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Good. A dog that you want in the house should be sleeping in a crate for the first year. And then earn its unsupervised freedom, where you have the dog on a pillow in the living room or wherever, and you leave the room for 5 minutes. And then you come back and the dog is still there and everything is intact. Good boy.
Yeah.
And then another time you do it for 10 minutes and then 15 minutes. So in small increments, the dog is earning your trust with this being unsupervised loose. Okay? But until you can do that, when he's out, you have to supervise the dog.
Yeah.
Otherwise it would be like, having a toddler and hand him the key to the Porsche and say, okay, fix up. Go wherever you want and do whatever you want. You wouldn't do that. So why are we doing this with dogs? Why are we leaving them loose and then complain, oh, they destroy this and destroy that? There's a nifty invention that I never really found out who invented it, but it's called a leash. Right? So when you take the dog out of the crate, you put it on the dog and you walk with him through the house. And if he pays attention to things that you don't want him to interfere with, you give him a tug on the leash and go, no. You don't get to play with that. You don't get to pay attention to that. It's not yours.
Yeah.
And so you teach them. And you have the leash on. And then you have people over and you have your foot on the leash, but the dog is still in a down next to you on the leash. So the dog gets accustomed you having friends over, and he can be around, but he has to be in a down. And do you teach them those things? They're not born knowing that. They know how to hunt, kill animals, and eat, and live in a pack. That's what they know. They're born with that knowledge. But outside of that, you have to teach them everything else. Their interaction with us and living with a human needs to be taught. And a lot of people don't do it. And then just complain, the dog is so wild and he pulls and he chews up everything and he does all those things. It's like, okay, leash. And even especially small dogs. I have clients where I say, okay, put the leash on the dog, take a belt, feed it through the hand loop of the leash, put it around your waist, and for the entire Sunday, wherever you go, your dog goes. And if he does anything that you don't like, you give him a tug on the leash, tell him no, and correct your dog. A lot of them look at me like I'm crazy. And then there's those that are curious, and they try it. And then come back to my class and say, hey, it worked great. I can leave the dog loose now. It follows me around everywhere and lies down by my feet when I'm washing the wares and when I'm doing this and when I'm doing that. I can now work from home with the dog just lying down next to me instead of running through the apartment crazy, chasing a ball and barking at it. And wonderful.
Yeah. What about separation anxiety? Because a lot of humans don't realize we create that problem.
Of course. I tell people there's so many, and there's the COVID dogs, right? It's mostly the COVID dogs, where you have the dog having 24-hour access to you, and then people started to go back out to work, and the dog is like, oh my God, I'm being abandoned here, and go nuts. How do you prevent it? Crates. Put the crate in a room where the dog can see you, but you put the dog in a crate and you sit down and you watch TV and you say, okay, you're going to be alone by yourself for a while. And the dog learns that it's okay to be alone.
Yeah.
And then you graduate putting the crate in the next room where the dog doesn't see you. And you again, small increments. You come back after a few seconds, open up the crate when he's quiet. You come back after 10 minutes, after half an hour, watch a whole full-length movie for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then let the dog out. And so you teach them it's okay to be by yourself, and if you stay quiet, I'll open it up. Instead, what people do is the dog starts bawling down the place, and then they open it while he's doing that. So the dog learns, I just have to cry hard enough, and she'll come and open the crate for me.
Yeah.
I know.
They cry, they pee on themselves.
It's stress, right? It's not that, and my dog's so mischievous that peed and pooped everywhere and mash up everything and chewed up everything. No, the dog is not mischievous, the dog is stressed. Peeing, pooping, and destroying things relieves stress. So for the whole length of time that you were gone, that's what he was doing. How do I fix it? A crate. But wouldn't that make it worse? No. And if you had used one from the beginning, that would have never been an issue in the first place. No dog is born with separation anxiety.
Correct.
It's created by humans. When I'm leaving home, I don't tell my dogs bye. When I come back, I don't tell them hi. As a matter of fact, I just spent an hour and a half in traffic, right? I need to pee. so it's move. Right? Move. I don't know, not right now. And then, go to the washroom, come back out of the room, greet my family and whatever, and then go to change clothes and sit down on the bed. And then by that time, he has calmed down again. And I say, all right, come. And then he can get this greeting in a calm frame of mind. Right? Not when he's all hyped.
Yeah, I think we are starting to, or at least some of us are starting to humanize dogs.
Yeah.
Something else I hear people say now is dogs are the new children and plants are the new pets. So we, some of us are viewing dogs as humans. They're baby.
But I want to make a distinction there. There's nothing wrong if somebody decides, okay, I'm not really into children, but I love dogs. And have the dog instead of children. Right? For as long as they don't treat the dog like a child. Okay? That is where it goes sideways.
Yeah.
If you have a dog and you treat it like a dog, you train it, you work it, if it's a working dog, right? You work the dog, you interact with the dog, you teach the dog, you praise the dog, you correct the dog if necessary, and you have a healthy relationship that way, then there's nothing wrong with that. Right? I'm not one of those religious nuts that says you must have children, right? But do it the right way.
Yeah.
Do it the right way, or you set yourself up for a whole heap of hurt and trouble. Is doing that, give them the mental and physical stimulation. The higher your drive level in your dog is, the more of that they need. And good nutrition. That's why I feed raw. Available on our Amazon storefront. Designed by my son.
Shameless plug.
Of course. Of course. Must put that in there.
Oh, Lord.
Because I've been feeding raw for so many years. And in this country, you couldn't talk to a vet about that.
Yeah.
There was instant condemnation.
Some vets you still can't talk to about that.
Yeah. But now they have no longer an excuse. Now I can call them out on it. Because there's so many studies that came out in the last year on the benefits of feeding raw that they have no longer a leg to stand on. Right? And the biggest thing that they always told me is, but raw food, the problem is salmonella. Really? Didn't we just have a worldwide recall on dog food that was contaminated with salmonella and it was kibble? In all those decades I'm feeding raw to my dogs, I never had that problem. Right? Not once did I have a dog that had salmonella. And there's a reason for that. Right? And it has something to do with the acid level in their stomach and it's killing bacteria upon entry. And then the dog shed salmonella. I said, okay, how is it shedding something that was destroyed on impact? Radio silence. So I'm not a veterinarian. I don't claim to be one. All I know is I've done it for 3 decades and never had a problem. Right? I had more problems with kibble. So, not me and that,
Yeah, I think for us
you know.
one funny story is Sambo and Coco, they donate blood by the veterinary hospital in Monto.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time they went, so in order to donate blood, they have to do a blood test
Mm-hmm.
to make sure your dogs are in healthy condition, I guess.
Right.
You know, they make sure they're scoring on certain levels
Right.
in order to donate
Mhm.
blood. And his scores were exceptional. So then they asked me, what is his diet? And I was like, well, he eats raw. And they were like, are you serious? What does he eat? So I go about telling them, you know, what does he eat? And they were like, well, what kind of meat does he eat? Does he eat chicken? Does he eat duck? Does he eat rabbit, blah, etc., etc.? And I was like, well, I feed variety. I change up the proteins, you know, but I follow certain guidelines. But I mean, the reason I'm telling you all this is because here, even in our vet school here, they are somewhat against raw.
Not anymore, really.
Okay.
There's the same lecture that I told you earlier about. At the end of it, before I closed off, I said, seeing that I have all the experts in one room, because all the instructors were there, right? How old is his dog? And the closest they got was 4.5. I said, no, he's 8. And they were baffled, and they were looking at each other. It's like, what do you mean he's 8? I said, yeah, he's 8 years old. And then one vet said, you feed raw. I said, yes. He said, that is the only way he could be looking like that. Because he was jet black, not a gray hair in his face.
Right.
And he was 8 years old. You know. And then she proceeded to tell me after that they're actually doing a long-term study right now on raw food
Okay, good.
in UV, well, in the vet school.
Yeah.
Right? For the student research program or something like that. It goes over a few years. And they had already found out that most commercial kibble contains chemicals that promote aging. Right? It's not news to me,
Yeah.
but yeah. It's just another nail in the coffin of dog food, right? For me.
Yeah.
So they can't really make those arguments anymore. There's too much evidence out that proves the opposite. So, and more vets now get open to it by force. Yeah. And then when they see my dog, it's like, oh, this dog looks real healthy. You know how Force's coat is super shiny, right? The other day I looked at him, the glow of the TV glistened in his coat in the dark with the light off.
Yeah.
Right? Just the glow of the TV. You could see the whole silhouette of the dog because of the sheen of his coat. And so, yeah, the power of raw.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people reach out to me because that's something that I am very public about, how I feed my dogs raw.
Yeah, I saw the
and
video with him eating the whole chicken.
Yeah. How, that I make their own food. And a lot of people are getting into that now. You know,
Yeah.
they're making their own food, they're educating themselves. I saw one company, I can't remember the name, who are offering raw food, prepackaged food in Trinidad. I can't remember the name, but you know, it's something something interesting. I'm sure in the future more people might start to sell because, as you said, just recently we had a recall,
Yeah.
a worldwide recall from a very popular brand of chow that people here in Trinidad use a lot of too.
Yep. You know. And it is not hard. If you have a little freezer space, it's not hard to do it. It's not any more work. I mean, chow is convenient, yes. Especially if you have to travel a lot and you have to send your dog for boarding. Right? Those facilities are not equipped to feed your dog raw. And I shouldn't say not equipped, not prepared to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them are because I travel a lot, and they do it for me. So what I'll do, I'll prepackage it and
Mr.
freeze
Defrost,
it. Yeah.
defrost
Yeah. So
the
they just
portion.
defrost and give it to them. But I understand what you're saying. A lot of them are still a little apprehensive about the whole raw thing and all that. But yeah, it's. I mean, people like to use the word, "Oh, chow is dry kibble is more convenient." But I mean, part of it is a little laziness too. We
Yeah.
need to change our culture when it comes to these pets.
I defrost things overnight,
Same.
right? So it's defrosting while I'm sleeping. And in the morning, I put it in the bowl. Right? It is more work for me to unlock the door, go to a next room outside, open a container with a screw lid, and scoop out, count cups and everything, and the chow, and put it in the bowl, and then walk back in the kitchen, because it's 3 dogs I have to feed, and they're not feeding at the same time. And then that is more steps than me feeding raw.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, the other argument, some people like to say it's more expensive, but to me that's
It's
debatable.
it's not.
Yeah, that's debatable
It's
because you also have to factor in overall healthcare. I mean, my dogs,
Mm.
there's nothing wrong with them. I've never had to take them to the vet for any health issue. So in the end, it works out cheaper for me.
Yeah. And the dog is going to live longer. You know, there's a vet that turned nutritionist, Dr. Karen Shaw Becker.
Mm-hmm.
And she wrote a book, The Forever Dog. And when she brought out the book, and she co-wrote it with Rodney Habib, and they were ostracized by the veterinary profession. How you as a vet can write something like this? And it was terrible. For years, they got pressured. And she formed a YouTube channel and talked about it and, kept justifying it. And now that all this research is out that proves her right, that book is a New York bestseller. Yeah. Also available on our Amazon storefront, by the way.
Shameless plug.
And she now brought out a second book, or the two of them brought out a second book called The Forever Dog Life, 120 recipes for raw food. Right? So that's also a good thing to take a look at. Soon available on our Amazon storefront. Right?
Yeah, plus as you said, persons there's a lot of free knowledge on raw food, a lot of recipes. Of course, I always advise persons to reach out to certified dog nutritionists, because a lot of people reach out to me, hey, do you think it's a good idea to give my dog X, or how much I should feed?
I had a nutritionist
etc.
on our podcast 2 episodes ago, the Animal Synergist. Yeah, and we were talking for over 2 hours about nutrition. And it was quite interesting. And in my conversation with her, I found out that a lot of the things I was doing, I was kind of spot on. So I just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And it shows in my dogs.
But that's what I was now going to say. Your dogs, the thing with them that I find so interesting, you can actually kind of see what's working, through their coat, through their...
Yeah.
To the how active they are.
You see the
their
videos with
stool.
my dog Heidi. When I swing her and she's all horizontal, hanging. She's 8 years old. That dog is 8 years old.
Yeah, she
And I'm
doesn't look
swinging
like
her.
it, though.
I'm swinging her on her tug, 360, but her airborne. And she loves it.
Yeah, she doesn't look like it.
Yep. Just how Ninja didn't look 10.
Yeah.
The only reason why he's no longer around is he had some neurological condition. I forget the name because I would never pronounce it. It's where it goes up in one leg. It's a lameness, a paralysis that travels up one leg and then across the hip down the other leg. And then eventually it will travel along the spine and affect the organs and everything else. And so it got to the point where he kept collapsing and couldn't really walk. And then it was just before it would have affected his organs, which is life-threatening anyway. So I decided to not have him suffer.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for that, you see up here, you see it in Sambo, the intelligence in the eyes, and I want to work, this readiness, it was there all the way to the end. You just couldn't physically.
Right.
I said, how much of that can you override? Because at some point, in the beginning, I thought it was arthritis that had him slow down. And I threw a ball. And he was crying, trying to go after the ball. It's just his rear end wasn't cooperating. And that is when we realized, okay, there might be more to it than just arthritis. and that is what it was. So,
Yeah.
but
How did he get that? Did they ever find out? Or?
apparently they can get that with age if there is, I guess it could be hereditary, but it's not something that you can really test for, from what I understand. It's something that affects older dogs, and it affects some and not others. The fact that he had it doesn't mean his litter mates would, for instance. So, and if they work a lot, that can happen too. And who God knows he worked,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, it's sometimes with the high drive, you can, anytime a dog is a bit on the extreme side in something, there's always the chance that something else comes with it. That has been my experience. That is not any biological fact or anything. That is, I don't know any research on this topic. It's just my personal experience working with dogs for a number of decades. That any dog that is extreme in something, there tends to be something else that comes with it that we don't really want. So
Yeah. With the training, is there or has anybody figured out like a certain amount of hours one should put in? Because now, compared to like when Samba was a puppy, I don't really need to train as much, because before it was like every day. Every day we were doing something and learning,
Right.
and you're sharpening.
Well, what tends to happen is, in the beginning, everything is new. So you practice it. So you practice his sits, you practice his downs, his recoils, his heeling, his this, his that. Then the protection. And then you have to put more obedience into the protection. Because the drive is now higher, and now you have to get through to him to have the control with it. And so it's a lot of that going on. But then you inadvertently have that in everyday life. So that you tell him heel when you go to the car. You tell him hop to jump in.
Mm-hmm.
So you're giving him commands all day long. And to your dog, that is training. Because if he doesn't do something with, hey, I said hop, that is training.
Yeah.
It just no longer feels like training to you.
Yeah.
Because
that's exactly what I was gonna say.
It just
Yeah.
it's
Because
built
it turns into everyday life.
Yes, it's built into everyday life. And then we don't view it as a training session anymore, but it's a micro session.
Yeah.
Every time you tell him something is a micro session, because if he's not doing it properly, you tell him that he didn't do it properly, right? And you make him do it over. And that is what training is.
Yeah.
Right? So we train dogs all day long and just don't register it.
No, it's true. It's true, because Saturday evening, I went to the Bamboo Cathedral with Coco, who's the younger one, and what was I doing? Well, while we were walking through the cathedral, I was filming to show people the actual cathedral, how the bamboo forms the cathedral roof, and Coco is off leash, and I have the phone in my hand, and I am walking around in a circle, and it's only after when I just kind of look downwards, she is with me, So even though we were walking in a straight line, she's off leash, but she knows to stay on my left. Even while I filming and making a circle, she's just making the circle with me. Stop. She stops. So without even realizing it. You know what I mean? But I guess I am probably just so accustomed with having them with me, and or they probably just so accustomed with just walking next to me. It's seamless now.
Yeah. Your dogs performing all those tasks has become a way of life to your dogs. That's what they know.
Yeah.
That's what you practiced with them, and that's what they know, and that's what they do. So unless you actively tell your dog, okay, free or go, they wouldn't go off exploring, because by default it's on your side.
Yeah. Yeah.
So whether there's a leash or not, because it was practiced on and off leash.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the dog is simply doing what it was taught. She's doing what she's taught. She doesn't know that you're filming, right? She's probably questioning, why this man running around in a circle, man? Like, where are we really going? But she's having those thoughts while on your side,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
And that's what happens if you train properly. Those things inadvertently happen.
It's true. It's
You
true.
know?
It really makes it. I mean, no wonder when people see them, they're like, "Well, this looking easy, boy." You know,
And that is the problem, right?
that is the problem.
That is the problem. And it's the same with YouTube videos. It makes it look easy, and so everybody is like, we live in a time where everything is a click away. So, okay, I just have a few sessions and my dog does this. No. Right? For your dog to do this, it's about 2-3 months. Right? It's like, so much? Well,
Yeah.
you body the dog with that drive level, right? It's not
Correct.
me. I didn't get the dog for you.
Yeah.
You decided to have a dog of that drive level. And so now you have to work it and keep it occupied, because this dog is going to entertain himself with your garden hose,
Yeah. Yeah. We real.
with the bumper skin of your car,
Oh yeah.
with your PVC plumbing,
Oh,
if
yeah.
you don't.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
Well, thankfully, we never, to this day, we never had any of those issues. But again, it was,
Great training.
yeah.
Great
Yeah.
training.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Your dog went through that phase supervised, so he didn't get to do it.
Yeah, yeah. That's another thing, because we, with your guidance, we stimulated our dogs physically, mentally through the
Yeah.
training, the constant
And taking them everywhere.
homework, the constant socialization. Never had any issue with the car, nothing.
Sometimes I take Force with me to work. If I have a slower day,
Yeah.
I just take him with me. Just to hang out. And he loves it. He absolutely loves it. Sometimes he wants to come in front. I said, no, go back. And then he looks at me and lies down. A little peeved.
Yeah.
But yeah. And he's now taking a page out of Ninja's playbook. If I'm driving on the highway and it's a constant drone, he goes to sleep.
Mm.
But the moment we slow down and I gear down,
Yeah.
he's looking
Yeah.
out the windows. And
Yeah.
when we're in traffic, there's a traffic jam on the highway, he's staring down the drivers on the other side in the car next to us through the window. And if they turn their head and look at him, he goes,
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
the
just-
thing I think
and
I
it's
do
just-
like
it's
about
just fun,
with Trinidad is, we don't have much public, like restaurants and like malls. Like how in other countries you could take your dog to
Yeah,
the mall and
but that is because we're not ready. I believe we're not ready as a society here. We're not ready for that yet. Can you imagine the mastiff I was talking about earlier, and somebody decides, oh, dogs are allowed now in a pub, and they take this dog, and somebody comes with a little Yorkie and sits on the table next door, and tables merge.
no more
Yeah, tables just merge while no human is moving. Yeah, that would not be fun, right? And so yeah, we don't have that. Once it's an acceptable fact that if you have a dog, you need to train it,
Right.
and everybody does, then we can strive for that. I don't think that it will take us probably another 10 years.
Really.
Yeah, 5 to 10 years before we can get there. At the rate that we're going presently, I've seen a lot of change from 98 to now, I must say. And you can tell also by some of the items that are being sold in the pet stores, right? Now you have pet boutiques
Mm-hmm.
that specialize in clothing and fancy little pillows
Yeah,
for little
yeah.
dogs. And they must be selling a lot of it, because you find those in the most expensive malls where the rent is really high.
Yeah. True.
So that stuff must sell
Yeah.
to somebody. Not to me, but somebody, right?
Yeah. Four scarf fit in those dresses,
Nah,
I think.
nah. You put that on for us, and he's gonna watch you like, what do you want me to put in that? My front paw? You know. Nah, even if you put like even the agitation harness, when you put that on him, he's looking at us. Like, what's that about? You know?
Yeah, restriction.
Yeah, he doesn't listen. That dog is. I have been extremely close to Ninja, and it took me 10 years to reach that emotional point, right? But for us, next month he's 3 years, and he almost has me there.
Really?
Yeah, it's the shenanigans of that dog that get that done, right? So, about a year ago, I wanted to clip his nails. You can ask my family; it was comical. It was an MMA fight, without the hitting, and no growling or biting.
Just wrestling.
Just wrestling. This dog is, 110 pounds. And I'm lying down on him trying to get a foot out from under his body. And by the time I have it, and he's watching me and he's letting me have it, right? And he's pulling, but I have it. And I reach in my pocket and I get out the clipper. I am holding an empty hand. Because that paw just retracted and went back under the body. And I'm trying to... I rolled with him on top of me upside down. And I put 2 legs around his waist trying to get 1 foot to clip in it. And he managed to get out of the center. Listen, that dog knows Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. I swear. I swear. It was... I had to laugh at the end. I said, go. I was exhausted.
Yeah. So you lost.
Yeah, that is one battle that I lost. So I just walk him on concrete, up and down, and throw a ball on concrete. So so we do it the natural way now, right? We use the oversized Dremel, which is our driveway, and get that done. No, because I'm not going for this, you know. And I don't know if it is at the vet or wherever he had a bad experience with it. And I can hold his foot now. He will let me, front or hind. That was cool. But the moment he sees the clipper, he uprights himself and buries all. The front paws like a cat. He curls them in and they're under his chest. Can't get it. And he puts his head down too. And if you come from the side, he puts his head down on that. And then use his nose to push your arm away. That dog knows jiu-jitsu. Telling you. It's fun though. It's fun. It's fun.
That's
and it just
crazy.
adds to his personality.
Yeah, and I think they all have their own individual personality, you know. It's so interesting.
And the one thing that he doesn't tolerate is somebody he doesn't know touching him. At all. At all. So even for his knee operation, every x-ray, every exam, he had to get knocked out. And you can't just knock him out. Because to completely knock him out, it has to be IV, right? For that, you have to get a vein.
Yeah.
That means you had to touch him, you had to shave him. No, you had to give him a tranquilizer first for him to be almost out so that you can then access to the front foot to give him the other one that knocks him out.
Yeah.
And so it's in my best interest to keep him as healthy as possible so that I have the least amount of vet visits.
Yeah.
You know? Because he's not having it.
Yeah, it's the same thing when Sambo has to donate blood. They were like, no, we are accustomed dealing with big males. I'm like,
Not this one.
Well, yeah, I'm warning y'all. They brought in two male assistants to literally wrap their entire bodies around him.
No.
No, they were like,
All
right,
that does,
we need to put him to
all
sleep.
that does is set the drive up high.
Oh yeah.
But same with force. This boy, after his knee operation, he pulled off the bandage. So they told me, well, come back tomorrow and we put a new one. So I came, put him on the scale. They gave him the tranquilizer and the muscle in the back. We waited 40 minutes. He was on a table now. right? One of them electric tables was up.
Mm-hmm.
And my boy pretended he was out. So the front part of the foot hanging off the table, his head between his feet, slow, even breaths, right? Eyes closed. He's out. And she comes in the room and she just rests the packs of the bandage on the table next to him. And he fly around trying to bite her. Now, I had put the muzzle back on after,
Yeah.
just before she came in the room, because you have to take it off just in case he vomits. And when he looked, okay, he's out, right? I put the muzzle back on. And that is what saved her. And then she said, well, let's see how he's going for the weekend without the bandage. Just keep him calm, you know. It's like, and then we see how that goes. And maybe he doesn't need a new one, you know. And then, yeah, they called me a few weeks later. How is he going? I said, yeah, good, Nick. And that's the last I heard. I'm sure if I go back with him there, people have their lunch break at that time.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm sure there are some people. When I picked him up after the operation, they let me to wherever he was so that I take him out. Because they let him wake up in that kennel and nobody goes in there.
Yeah.
So they were a little afraid of him.
Yeah, the first time we boarded Sambo, they so he's boarded by his vet, and they have a yard that they let him out, and they say they take them for walks, and I was like, y'all are gonna be able to walk him in. They were like, no man, we are custom. I was like, okay, no problem. So when I go to collect him now, as I am walking into the vet clinic, one of the vets, they're like, you only black dog? I was like, yeah, okay, thank God. Everybody there knows Sambo, and they couldn't wait. They all came out and watched me walk out with him. It was so funny. Now they don't walk him. They'll just leave him in the kennel and leave him. They don't try to walk them again because they didn't realize, he is going to walk you. You know?
Yeah, if he doesn't know you.
Yeah.
That walking on slack leash, that is for my owner.
Correct.
But Aaron told me the one of the females that he has from Force's litter, she's like that too. Eh? Yeah.
This is the one he traded, or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a bit like that. He says, I think Rog kind of give up and directly working with her. Because she tried to fly at him a few times. So
it runs in the family.
Yep. So when I told him about Force, he said, yeah. Freya can be like that. You know. And it's just, I love a dog like that. To be honest with you, I like a dog that is a little difficult because it's a challenge, and we are good with him. You know, both my son, my wife, everybody can pet him, handle him, tell him where to go, what to do. You know, and that's the important part. Yeah. Everything else I'll deal with. I'll put a muzzle on him and put him on a leash, and if need be, we knock him out.
Yeah, because the thing for us, I mean, once you have people like you guiding a new dog owner or any dog owner with that level of drive, you know, once your dog have that level of drive, you're good. Because really and truly, like when we got Coco, Dareem had called me. He was like, Shaun, I have two for you to choose from. Mm-hmm. I have one who is bigger, long-haired, you know, decent drive. Mm-hmm. And then I have another one who's small. She's the runt of the litter, but she's spicy. Just so he describes it. I was like, give me the spicy one. You know, because I was like, well, I good because I know I've done to worry about. I have Mark to help me, and I want the one with more drive.
Yeah. And you will now experience, because you raised to adulthood one of those dogs already. So you know what to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it wasn't as scary or, you know,
no,
as the first time.
And that is always my goal. That when I help somebody with their dog, is to train the human, not just the dog, but to train the human to the point where if they get another dog, they don't really need me.
Yeah.
That is the idea. It's not just the show a dog owner, okay, this is how you say sit and this is how you say down. And, this is what you do with your dog and then, okay, that's it. No. Is there also to teach the understanding as to why you do certain things, why you don't do other things, what you should never do and why. So that there is a full understanding taking place, as to what your dog needs and what your dog should not get. And once that is there, this common sense taken over after that.
Yeah, definitely.
And that is how it's supposed to be.
Definitely, because the process was a lot easier with Coco
Yeah.
when compared to Sample.
And with every dog, it gets easier
Yeah.
because more experience. So imagine you would be doing this 20, 30 years.
Right.
And then somebody comes to you with some BS story about how special their dog is, and that's why it's not doing this or not doing that or can't learn this. And you look at them and you're trying to be nice, And so that sometimes it's tough, especially when you see comments online. And I have learned that certain comments you just don't respond to. Because you can tell by the comment that is being made that there is no education taking place. And there won't be any education taking place. Because I make one attempt at explaining something. And if the person comes back with the same BS, then I know, okay, this is what's happening, right? And then I stop. I'm not jumping down a rabbit hole with you. But if say, oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I'm going to engage that person further and trying to help them.
Yeah.
So I'm learning. With this whole social media thing, I'm learning how to filter.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I wanted to respond to everything.
Yeah.
You go mad. You go mad. But genuine questions, yeah, they get answered. And that's why we do our Friday Night Live on TikTok every week and answer questions.
Yeah. Yeah, because even though we weren't doing as much training with Coco as we did with Sambo, I still needed the guidance because it was a totally different dog.
Yeah,
a
every
different
dog
personality,
Yep.
different things, so we had to figure out, what makes her tick as opposed to Sambo, how to tweak it a little differently. So I mean the guidance was still needed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is good. Which is good that your customers still have access to you like that.
And they will always have. If I have a client, I have clients that I had 15, 20 years ago that get a dog and somehow resurrect. My number has changed from 20 years ago, but they get the number and they contact me. Mark, you might not remember me. My name is so-and-so. And you trained a dog for me in this location. And because they mentioned the dog and the location, it clicks, right? Because I'm hopeless with names, right? I'm terrible with names. And they say, yeah, I remember the dog. So great, yeah. So we got this puppy, and I gladly go back. And then it's a faster process than the first one because they still remember most of it, And then there's those that don't have much time, but they kind of have the dog. And then they say, look, can you do this year round? I say, sure. No problem. I'm not allergic to money.
Yeah.
I will do it. I will work with the dog once a week. Sure, if that's what the client wants and that's what I do, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what we was doing for years. With Sambo, we did that.
Yeah.
It was once a week. It was every Friday.
Yeah. So throughout this, from puppy.
The days it was Friday or Thursday. Anyways, but we did that.
I think it's Thursday.
I can't remember, but we did that once a week for God knows how long.
Yeah, and it was from puppyhood into adulthood.
Yeah, virtual.
Yeah.
Into physical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it shows. I still have some of the clips up on the field. The first once or twice that the dogs were up on the field, and if I compare some of those videos with you handling Sambo in a new environment as a new handler compared to some club members that are much longer than you, there wasn't much difference.
Yeah.
I felt so proud. It's like, look at this. And your sister has a very dominant dog, and when she had to correct him because he wanted to go after another dog, and the manner in which she got him back to her side and quiet,
Yeah.
it was like, I said, right, good, and yeah, I'm every time I see a video with Sambo, I'm like, nice. When I see him, how he behaves at the beach,
Yeah.
and all those things. So I was like, yep.
Yeah, it's good. It's honestly been a lifestyle change, but in a positive way, because having them, we had to adjust, we had to change a lot of things, within our own personal lives now. But I mean, it's been all positive.
Yeah.
It's been all positive because having them, and I mean, seeing the reaction, I think like sometimes, he's almost 3, so I think we get accustomed to a lot of things, but like when we take them out in public and people are like, wow, look how these dogs are, like, oh, y'all have them so tree. It's only then we kind of like realize, oh yeah, these dogs are really on a different level to your average dog.
Yes. Listen, and when I was out with Ninja anywhere, he was working in a car park with people walking around off leash. And he was also fully protection trained. And so we in a car park working, and one of the contractors forgot, because they got a memo stating that we are working there with the dogs, right? And they just ignored him. And he forgot, so he's on his phone and he's walking, and Ninja now comes around the bumper of the car. Now been in the corner, and he gets startled. So he flings his phone up in the air and then wow, and catches his phone and shaking, but he's waving his arms like this. And Ninja just paused, looked up at him, turned around, because he loves bite work, right? And he's like, want me to scrap him? He said, no, Sue. Okay. Put the nose back on the bumper, pass him like a bus, and continue to search. And I believe up to this day, the man doesn't understand how this dog didn't bite him. He said, training. He checked in. He knows when he's allowed to bite. He knows when he's not allowed to bite, or when he's allowed to bite only with permission. He checked in to get permission. He didn't get it, so he didn't. It's as simple as that.
Right.
Right? And he went back, continuing his search. And you could call him away from one car with a whistle and point at the next car, and he would go to that car and search that car. Just like that. And people would be in the car park watching us work and go like, how? How are you doing that? Can my dog do that? Probably not. He's super high in drive. Ninja was like a Malinois drive level in a German Shepherd, and super, super smart too. So he was an exceptional dog in that sense, So training him was quite easy. It was a lot of work, and we didn't do any obedience with him until he was 2 years old, because it was all just detection. And when he was good at that, then it's okay. Now we have to put some obedience on him. He made his BH at age 5. We got around to that. But yeah, it's fun working with high drive dogs.
Yeah.
And I'm so spoiled having access to high drive dogs all the time. Like I have 3 of them home, then the club and other places where I see high drive dogs, your dogs, some other clients that have high drive dogs. So when I get to work with a dog that is the opposite, it's like, he's not really into food, okay? Wave a toy around or a flirt pole, no prey drive. Not into food. How you motivate this dog? So, okay, on training days, don't give him breakfast, right? So you want him a little hungry. You actually have to make him hungry to get him to do anything. Because all he wants to do is lie down. Those are the longest sessions. Those training sessions are the longest training sessions. Because it's like, oh gosh, just move. Just move a little. You're not gonna die.
Yeah.
Just do something. And they're just not interested.
Yeah. One last thing what we forgot to mention too about good genetics is like I'll use a simple example. New Year's, Diwali for fireworks. My dogs, I have never had to acclimatize my dogs, hide my dogs. I've never had to do any of that.
Yeah, I have dogs that sleep through fireworks.
Yeah, it's like nothing to them.
When Forrest was born in January, right? So his first fireworks, because there was COVID as well. So his first fireworks was when he was almost a year old. Was New Year's. I had to wake him up while fireworks going off to see how he's reacting to fireworks. And then once he was awake, I took him outside, and he came outside in the driveway, looked up. Yeah, cool. Where's my Kong? And he wanted to work. Didn't give two shits about fireworks. Yeah. And just, let's work, man. Elena is the same way. She doesn't care. Heidi will run around. She'll bark a little bit because she's trying to find the person that's causing all the ruckus, right? But outside of that, if I put her in a crate, that's it.
Yeah.
She's cool. So genetics, strong nerves, confident. And working dogs are supposed to be like that. And I want as many people as possible to hear that. Working dogs are supposed to be like that. I don't want to hear a Rottweiler afraid of fireworks.
Yeah.
To be bred from in Germany, when they have to do the CTP, there's 1 gunshot on leash and 2 gunshots off leash that they have to pass without flinching, without looking away from the handler. Otherwise, they're not getting the breeding papers. Right? And how many Rottweilers have I met here that are absolutely terrified when there's fireworks? And I'm like, and people ask me, what can cause that? I said, poor breeding.
Yeah, nothing else.
And people look at me like, but it's supposed to be a reputable, it's poor breeding. Plain and simple. There's no other way. If you read for the breed standard, right, this is not supposed to happen. According to the breed standard. So, whoever bred this dog did not breed according to the breed standard. Otherwise, this wouldn't be happening. It's similar for the shepherd, the Mal. All the working dogs are supposed to be steadfast and strong-nerved.
Yeah. That's
why they're working dogs. Otherwise, they can't do the work. If the slightest thing startles them, how they're working.
So true.
That's why I'm glad that now we're getting more working trials again, so that people can test their dogs and improve their breeding, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Those who are honest enough to take part,
Yeah, hopefully.
And, hopefully. We can only hope.
Yeah.
But we have to try and aim and educate dog owners, and it's only through that we can force breeders to up their game. It's through the pressure of their market. So when customers ask for certain things, and get it.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we pretty much touched everything that we wanted to touch. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here. I know you're a super busy guy with your business, and I appreciate you taking the time to come here and chat. And I think it's encouraging to a lot of dog owners out there, to do work with their dogs and to incorporate their dogs into more aspects of their life than just the yard. Because it's only then we can improve things. When we get more people doing this and other people seeing it and hearing about it. And that way we can improve the lives of dogs. We can improve the quality of dogs. Because if people demand better dogs, breeders have no choice but to provide it. And and it was a nice insight into Shaun Alexander.
Yeah,
You
man.
know,
Well,
that is not food related, except for
the dog
the
food.
raw dog food.
The dog food.
So yeah,
Yeah, thank you all so much for bringing me on. I think education is important, and as long as more dog owners like myself, because I consider myself an average dog owner.
yeah, more than the average dog owner. Give yourself some credit.
But I think as long as more persons like myself and persons who now wanna get it into owning a pet, continue to educate themselves, we'll be well on our way.
Yep, I agree. Right. Cool.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
That was